Today on Locked On Red Wings, Scotty and I preview the Detroit Red Wings trip to Florida and the possible return of Jakub Vrana.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Was that a fork? To swallow?
It was a fork, yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure. For those of you who don't know, when the intro is playing, I can see Scotty, but he can't see me. So he always does this, these little things just to try and get under my skin. And I don't know if you guys have seen that screenshot of Scotty with sunglasses on, where he's he's got this smug look on his face, and I look absolutely exhausted. That is accurate. That is how I feel on a daily basis when it comes to dealing with my co-host or my fellow host, Scotty Bentley.
Daily basis. You know what? I take pride in that a little bit.
Welcome back to Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty also hosts at Locked On Tigers. Still no baseball season, so that's fun.
Yeah, no. Today's episode, we compared the 2003 and the 2019 Detroit Tigers.
Oh, wow. Sounds like a really fun episode.
And actually, I had a blast with it. Yeah, we actually ran long on time because I was having such a good time with it. For real.
You talk a lot.
I do.
I mean, I feel like I shouldn't be talking.
I shouldn't be talking because you talk a lot? Is that why?
Yeah, precisely.
I got him.
Thanks for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every single day. We are free and available on all platforms. Scotty, today's episode. Red Wings have two games this weekend, one on Friday, one on Saturday. First game is against the Tampa Bay Lightning in Tampa. Then the next day, they go to I'd say they go to Florida, but Tampa's in Florida. But they go to play the Florida Panthers at their home arena. And it's going to be a tough little gauntlet for the Detroit Red Wings because those are two very good opponents. Florida Panthers finally living up to expectations this season, which I think we've mentioned before. Year in and year out, we keep hearing how Ekblad and Huberdeau are going to, finally come to fruition. They finally have. Huberdeau is honestly a Hart candidate. He's been fantastic this year. And the Tampa Bay Lightning are back-to-back champions, still very much a powerhouse. But let's start with the first game, and that being Tampa Bay Lightning. And I think the most pressing thing to bring up when regarding the Tampa Bay Lightning is that the possible return of Jakub Vrana is, possible.
Looming.
Yeah, it's looming. I know you said you saw something before we recorded.
Yeah, no. So yesterday, I believe, the time of this recording, 2 days ago, there was some comments made by Blashill about Vrana, and we were told kind of all season that February would be the month. It was early February, then it was mid-February, then it was late February, and now it's March, and he's still not back. But people ask him questions about it pretty much every chance they can get still because it should be soon, and based on what we've been told. And he was straight up asked, what about a return this weekend? Because there's been some rumors in practices that he might not be wearing a non-contact jersey anymore. And with those questions going Blashill's way, he pretty much said that there still was some doctor approval that needed to be had, but he was asked directly about this weekend, which, even if he doesn't return, it doesn't sound like he is. I feel like there would be a lot more momentum, and we would kind of know about it a lot more if that was the case. And making your debut, traveling to Florida to make your debut is maybe a little weird. But I think the fact that he was asked specifically about this weekend's games and the possibility of him returning, that means that there is a general consensus that he's close.
Yeah.
And Blashill's response was needed some more tests to be ran, needed a few more clearances from some doctors, and that he would keep everybody up to date as he found out information. So it doesn't sound like this weekend is going to be a thing. I would be shocked, quite honestly, if it was. But the fact that we're starting to ask game to game now, like, hey, what about next game? What about next game? I do think that this is no longer it's kind of close. Like, I think it actually is close for the first time all season.
Yeah, I caught a bit of the practice a couple weeks ago. Snuck myself down there, and he wasn't wearing a contact jersey then, so I was like, And on my way out, I caught Max
The
Bolton.
non-contacts go hard, by the way.
Yeah,
I would
they're really
cop one of
nice.
those in a heartbeat. What? The bait, the powder blue? What are you talking about? Like a dummy.
I caught Max Boltman on the way out, or he caught me rather, and I asked him about it. I was like, when did Vrana stop wearing the non-contact jersey? And does that mean indicate that he's close? And he had indicated towards what Blashill had mentioned about a few days prior, that just because he's not wearing a non-contact jersey doesn't mean he's not close, or that doesn't mean he is close. It's just this starting to. Just him being out of a non-contact jersey means that they can start doing contact, but it doesn't mean he's full contact. So they're getting him up to game speed, essentially. So exactly what you're saying, now they're getting closer. And we can ask game by game, not week by week or month by month. And if you look at Jakub Vrana and him coming back to the lineup, what he does, he instantly adds, a huge scoring surge to this team, but also increases the depth on this team enormously. And we've kind of touched on it in the past, but now that it's getting closer to reality, I feel like it's a good time to actually map out, at least what your top six looks like with Jakub Vrana in the lineup.
I think, honestly, that the bigger question is what the bottom six look like with Vrana in the lineup, because I think you have to put him at top line left. I think that's the spot for him. You're going to have Raymond on the right. You're going to have Larkin in the middle. And I think it's pretty much impossible at this point to break up Guelph. So I think he has to be top line left. And I think the bigger question is, honestly, what happens to the bottom six? And having a third line, again, like you said, we've talked about it so many times, but having those players, not only is it great to have Jakub Vrana just because he's an instant scoring threat, it's great because of the amount of depth that he is indirectly going to, or I guess directly going to provide this team. That you could be looking at a third line with, Veleno, Zadina, Vlad.
That's exactly what I just wrote down.
That's a hell of a third. Or even if you don't want Veleno maybe to take on that big of a role and be a 3C right away. Rasmussen, Zadina, Vlad is still
oh my God, Rasmussen.
A solid, you know what I mean? That's a solid third.
Well,
it really is. And then even your fourth, then even your fourth, then guys potentially like Veleno or Rasmussen or probably not Vlad at this point, but either of those two guys being on your fourth line. The depth that he is going to provide by being back, it's much more than just one of your best scorers is back from injury. You are creating a much deeper team as well.
No, you're 100% right. While you were talking, I guess I wrote down some mock lineups. Here's the other problem is we have too many forwards at this point. Vrana coming back.
Wings.
Ahead, we have two, yeah.
Center depth is a problem, but yeah.
Well, we can have a center depth problem, but still have too many centers.
Sure,
on the roster.
Very fair.
This team ahead of the trade deadline is going to have to make some decisions. I think it's probable that Vrana comes back right after the deadline on the 21st, just so they don't have to worry about scratching and waiving people. But I wrote down a mock lineup of Vrana, Larkin, Raymond, Fabry, Suter, Burt, easy ones. And then your third line is exactly what you had suggested: Veleno, Zadina, Vlad. And then at my fourth line, I put Rowney, Gagne, and Ernie. And I put those three guys on the fourth line because last two games they played fantastic together. They've been a positive impact offensively and defensively from the fourth line against Toronto, and then against the Carolina Hurricanes, who are two very very big teams in the league. You could argue Carolina is even a powerhouse at this point. So, and then I completely, like you said, Rasmussen. I was like, how could I forget Michael Rasmussen? And maybe then you bump Rowney out, because I'm not comfortable. I with how good that fourth line's playing, I still wouldn't want to bump a young guy like Veleno out unless you're sending him down to the minors, which you could do. But now you're going to have like this rotation of you have excess of forward depth down there. Might not be good depth all the way around, but you have an excess of forwards, which is why also it kind of leads me to believe maybe Scotty, he won't actually return until after the deadline, so they don't have to worry about pushing guys back and forth. And maybe that's why a guy like Vlad Nemesnikov's getting first line minutes against Carolina, and a guy like Thomas Greiss is getting more starts, and a guy like Nick Leddy is getting top pair minutes all of a sudden while Danny DeKeyser is getting scratched. I mean, with the trade deadline looming, players are starting to get looks, and so I'm starting to think maybe even though he's close, he might not return for a couple more weeks.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I do think. I think. Yeah, the possibility of the Vlad trade if Vrana comes back and he's established and healthy, that's an interesting call. I like the idea of that.
Yeah, I think the best thing that the Red Wings can do if they want to get Vlad or Vrana back quicker is to start feeding him some Built Bars.
Man, that was good. I didn't even see it. He's slick with it.
Slick with it. This is the time of year that we pretty much all given up on our New Year's resolutions, but not this year. We are going to stick to this resolution, eat right, thanks to Built Bar. It almost feels like it's not really a resolution because they actually taste good. How many protein bars do you eat? You bite into and you're like, this is gross, but I got to power through it because I need to get
chemical
gains,
spill-esque.
Chemical spill-esque, but not Built Bars. Not only are they going to taste good, they're going to help you get swole. Right, Scotty? Help you get swole.
Like Brian.
And not like me.
He's the enforcer for a reason. He eats Built Bars.
Have you tried their Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of their best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar. They're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Just like Built Bars, they're low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bar with these. They are better. Typical candy bar has anywhere from 200 to 300 calories. Go to built.com and scroll down their macros chart. You'll be blown away. High protein, low cal, high fiber, low carb. Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. So go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Scotty, now let's dig into the meat of this Tampa Bay Lightning preview. We're assuming Vrana doesn't return. If he does, pleasant surprise. And that's going to be huge for the Red Wings. But regardless of Vrana here, Vrana not here, this is an intimidating matchup. This is the last time these two teams played each other, Scotty. Opening night, and the Red Wings blew a massive lead. Bertuzzi had 4 goals in that game. And the Red Wings lost.
Yeah, that was Ned's first game in net. We always pointed to that game and we were like, hey, after game 1, he's been fantastic, right? Like that was always the clause. We were like, it was the end of 2021. It was like mid-December. We were like, man, if you just take out the first night, that's got like a 9:30 right now.
But that first night was dragging him down to like a 9:13.
Yeah, that first night was tough on him though. No, I mean, this is, a powerhouse, a perennial powerhouse of a team. The fact that they have managed to keep so much of their core intact. And not only that, but I think one of the most impressive things about their sustained success over the last few years is even when they do lose somebody else steps up, man. Like it's just they're just cranking out just like unbelievable production out of anybody. And it's very much a system in the least disrespectful way possible. It's a system, and it's very, very impressive. The one cool thing, Dylan Larkin would be leading the Tampa Bay Lightning in goals. Let it be known. But
that is also really, I mean, that's just been Dylan Larkin this season, being top 10 in goals. Just an unreal season from Dylan Larkin all the way around. Love that man. The Tampa Bay Lightning, to your point, like you said, there's always been a man to step up. Like Stamkos goes down, Kucherov steps up. Kucherov goes down, Braden Point steps up. There's always a player on that team who steps up, and there's such a well-rounded roster. I just listed their top 3 forwards, but they have a perennial Norris Trophy winner in Victor Hedman, who is not drafted by Steve Yzerman. I've said that before, and that was factually incorrect. He was not drafted by Steve Yzerman. He was there, I think, a year before Steve Yzerman came in. But all up and down that roster, they have trophy winners. They're all Stanley Cup winners. Vasilevsky's a multiple-time Vezina winner. I mean, this team, top to bottom, is stacked. They're dangerous. I mean, they're second in the Atlantic Division. Their record is 35-12-6. Stamkos has 60 points in 52 games. Victor Hedman has 51 points in 53. That's their best defenseman is their second highest scoring player on their roster right now, which is insane. Absolutely. When defense is scoring at that rate, but also winning the Norris Trophy because they're great at defense, like you got a exceptional talent. You got Alex Killorn, 45 points at 53 games. Braden Point at 40 points in 39 games. Kucherov's been back for a little bit now. He's only got 18 games played, but he's still Nikita Kucherov. So yes, this is a team all the way around that you cannot overlook, especially if you're the Red Wings. And I mean, this is a team. First of all, can we mention how BS it is that the Red Wings played them opening night and haven't faced them since? And so now they're with the remaining schedule. They have to play the back-to-back champion Tampa Bay Lightning 3 times in the last month and a half of the season.
You know, if we were a lot closer to Boston, I'd be a lot more upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's bull crap either way.
It is. No, it is either way.
In the same vein, strength of schedule, it sucks, but it doesn't matter because you got to win hockey games. And that's how you win a Stanley Cup, right? You win hockey games. And so it doesn't matter who you're playing, you got to beat them.
You come here for that kind of analysis.
It's silly, but it's right. It's accurate. Tell me I'm wrong. Am
I wrong?
Am I wrong? You're going to tell me that I'm wrong? I'm glad. Great reference.
A reference Bryant got, everybody.
Yeah. I literally was watching that video on loop like a week and a half ago. I came across my feed again. I'm like, oh, so great.
You like that I'm not wearing a hood today?
I didn't even notice until you mentioned it.
It's the first time in easily over a month that I haven't worn a hood.
Honest to God, 3/4 of our podcast I spent on other tabs.
Wow. Doesn't want to look at me. It's all right.
I mean, it's kind of rough to look
You get my undivided attention, but it's fine.
Yeah, well, you know where your priorities lie. Good Lord. Victor Hedman, by the way, has an expected goals for percentage of 57.23. That guy controls the game on both ends of the ice. Oh, God. If Moritz Seider could turn into a Victor Hedman type, I would over the moon.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Right, yeah. Very much so.
X factor in this game, Scotty. What do the Red Wings got to do to win this hockey game? Great analysis. Here we go.
Man, I mean, goodness, I'm not sure. Look, I don't think that there's one player that is going to be an X factor when playing against a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think that it's one player is going to make or break the game. There is going to have to be some big changes defensively. And if Ned let Ned go out there for the redemption arc. Let Ned go out there so that he can redeem his opening night just implosion. So I guess I'll go Ned, hoping. I don't even know if Ned. We got a back-to-back. Like who even knows who's gonna get each game? But
Greiss is gonna get at least one of these two games because one, they're gonna continue to see if
it's a back-to-back. I mean,
it's a back-to-back. Well, we've had Nedeljkovic and Net for back-to-backs.
Oh yeah,
past the season,
sure.
But that was when he was hotter. But also with the trade deadline coming up, they're going to showcase Greiss a little bit more
for sure.
And
like both.
Well,
we'll get into the Panthers in that. Like both of these teams are
they're wagons. They're wagons.
So I guess I'll go. I want Ned to get this game so that he can redeem his opening night blues. But
honestly, I think that's what it is, though. I mean, like you're gonna need Nedeljkovic or whatever goaltenders in that to stand on their head to win this hockey game. Like that's just because of the team that they are. Now, I'm not saying like there aren't other facets of this team that could really come in clutch to help, but you're going to need an all-around team game to outplay one of the best in the league. But it's going to start with your goaltending. Your goaltending's got to be in top form to keep you in this one as long as possible, and not to put all the pressure on Nedeljkovic, but and because the whole team's got to perform. But if your goaltender's not performing against a team that's lethal, I mean, you're in for a rough time, and that's just what it comes down to.
That's just the way it is.
Where the cookie crumbles. Football might be over for the season, but basketball is in full swing for both pro and college hoops. From all the latest odds, totals, player performances, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC. It's right to the Olympic coverage and information, I guess. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline,
BetOnline.
where the game starts.
You know,
Scotty.
in Tigers, I've started going BetOnline, like not intentionally.
Like you're waiting for somebody to do it with you.
I just like say it. I say it that way now, even though it's a solo show.
Oh, it's kind of sad. Like you're missing me.
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, wow. Okay. Guess we're doing this. God, I cannot believe this, man. Here I am, giving him my undivided attention and looking only at him.
Punk. Yeah, right.
Well, to be fair, it's not like I'm, goofing around with these tabs. They're purely analytical purposes.
Oh yeah.
You want? I could prove it. I share screen. Screen.
No, dude.
You can look at me.
I
The
believe
ESPN tab of the Florida Panthers. Me looking at their stats, so I can read it off.
What are their
believe
stats?
it or not, I don't have their record offhand on my brain. The Florida
Wow,
Panthers.
that's really non-professional of you, but
Because you knew the Florida Panthers were 36-13-5, first in the Atlantic Division. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah,
team
you
this year.
didn't give me a chance to prove that I did.
I hate you so much. I hate this man. And by hate, I mean love, unconditionally.
Love you, buddy. This team has the Panthers have the highest. They're the highest scoring team in the NHL. They are first in goals scored a game as a team in the league. So that's what you're going up against this weekend. Mm-hmm. The reigning back-to-back Stanley Cup champs, and then the team that has the best offense in the entire NHL.
Well, also don't
fun
forget
weekend.
that
And it's a back-to-back.
And it's a back-to-back. It's second half of the back-to-back. And Jonathan Huberdeau is on pace to get 100 points this season. He's got 75 points in 54 games. Mind you, he's getting all these points not by scoring goals. Like he's scoring 8. He's got 18 goals, which is respectable. Well, Connor McDavid gets 100 points by scoring like 1 million goals a season. Jonathan Huberdeau's got 57 assists. The man's a playmaking machine. Sam Reinhart's really come into his own. He's got 50 points in 51 games. Alexander Barkov's got 49 and 41. Aaron Ekblad's got 49 and 53. It's like talking about Tampa Bay Lightning. It's just up and down the roster wagon.
To just show you how insane this offense is, they are 17th in the NHL in goals against a game. Okay? So they give up 2.8 goals a game. That's 17th. That's below league average, right? And yet they score so much, they are first in goal differential.
That's disgusting.
That's a testament to how they're scoring they're averaging over 4 goals a game.
Huberdeau is third in the league in total points. He's 4 points behind Connor McDavid right now at 79 and 3 points behind Leon Draisaitl. So he is up there with the 2 best players in the NHL, and he's above guys like Austin Matthews and Johnny Gaudreau and Kirill Kaprizov and Alexander Ovechkin. I mean, that is elite. It's been years coming for this Florida Panthers team, and honestly, I'm kind of happy for them because that's been, whenever there's been a team that's on the cusp of like being really good, and you keep hearing every year how they're going to be really good, and they never have. I always part of me is like, I love that underdog story. I'm like, yes, they finally figured it out. And Florida Panthers are this year's Carolina Hurricanes, and Minnesota Wild as well. Minnesota Wild and Florida Panthers are this year's Carolina Hurricanes, where it's finally come together for them, and they're a legitimate threat. Carolina Hurricanes have been a legitimate threat for this is their 3rd season of that. But it's like it's a bunch of jerks. It's finally nice to see these teams that, especially in markets where they're not like the number one draw. I mean, Florida's not really a hockey market, admittedly. Carolina's not really a hockey market, admittedly. I mean, and to finally have these teams be successful is really nice to see, not just for those teams and those fan bases, but for the league as a whole and the growth of the sport. I mean,
Sure.
these are the types of things that get people to want to play hockey. But that's a different topic.
Yeah,
We're
well, no,
previewing the game.
but you can. I mean, you got a little bit of a Florida rivalry going if both teams are good. That'll be fun. But you can go back and one of Nolan and I's last episodes, we were like previewing some. We were previewing some teams, doing some like crossovers with other Locked On hosts and previewing some teams, and we took a look at the Panthers, and it was. This is, I mean, all what we were saying. We were like, man, like they like ceiling wise, like this team could be great, and we've been waiting for like 2 years now for them to hit this ceiling that everyone's been talking about. And this year they finally did it, and they have exploded onto the scene.
It's been disgusting. They've been really good. And it's just, if you're the Detroit Red Wings, I mean, also, we didn't even talk about Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning goaltending situation. That's another part that's disgustingly hard to think about these 2 weekends.
Let me tell you, if you don't know my love for Bob, you're going to learn. He's one of my favorite players in NHL history.
Like, I'm not a Bob fan.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what.
No, but like legitimately. So, I mean, I have a grudge against Bobrovsky because I drafted him in my fantasy league a year after he won the Vezina, and then he stunk with Columbus. But that's my point going forward here, though, is he's a very hot and cold goaltender. Season in and season out, he's different. He's a different goaltender. Last year, it was supposed to be the year that the Florida Panthers were going to be real. And then Bobrovsky stunk. And people were like, why did we pay him $10 million a year for him to just
crazy contract, Bob,
with an 8-9 save percentage? This year, we're back to Vezina caliber Bob. I mean, he's got a 920 save percentage, I believe, right now, 916 save percentage. And he better be, because Spencer Knight hasn't had a good season. So it's nice that, after they lose Uyghur or is it Drieger? There's a Drieger and a Uyghur. After they lose him in the expansion draft to the Seattle Kraken, that Bobrovsky was able to bounce back and become the dominant goaltender that they thought he was, especially the.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been right. He hasn't been Vezina. I mean,
he hasn't.
Been solid.
He's been a starting goaltender.
Right. Yeah. And again, with how insane this offense is, he can put up a 9-10, a 9-12, and be, more than enough for what they need. And we've seen Bob do really well in the postseason. We've seen Bob do really poorly in the postseason. So, like, going forward for them, I mean, that's what it's going to come down to when the playoffs roll around. But yeah, I'm a big Bob guy, and Ned's save percentage dipped below 900.
I'm not surprised. No way it did, though. Wait, really?
What I'm looking at says 899.
No, mine says 903. Are you looking at 5-on-5 only?
Maybe.
Check all situations, because ESPN has him listed at 903, which would make sense because this last game against Carolina Hurricanes, he faced 30 shots and made 27 saves for 900 save percentage. So couldn't have dipped below.
Well, I mean, so the goalie situation in that game, if we get Bob, I mean, if like Bob versus Grice, is that? I mean, we're assuming it's hard to predict. Whatever one doesn't play in the first game will be the goalie for the second game, but that's a situation that ceiling wise, they win the goalie situation. For peak of talent. But Bob has off nights, and when Bob has off nights, Bob has off nights. So it might be a shootout. It might be a shootout. I know your next question is going to be the X factor, so don't even ask it.
X factor.
Here's what's going on. I'm getting some slight, ever so slight, Oracle.
Oh, been a while since we had this going on
with Joe Veleno.
I like it.
Just like ever so slightly. It's like it's a nice tickle. It's not a full feeling. It's just a light little tickle.
That little tickle going on.
And it's a little Joe Veleno action. and I feel like that might be the Veleno game.
I'm down for it. Let's have a Joe Veleno game. We haven't had a Joe Veleno game yet this season. Let's go Joe Veleno hat trick episode. Do it. We've had a Sam Gagne hat trick episode. We've had a hat trick episode for practically everyone. We had a Robbie Fabry hat trick episode. Time for a Joe Veleno hat trick episode.
I'm about it.
For me, let's see. Do I even have an X factor? Man, these games are such tough.
Yeah, it's hard to. The one dude is not going to be the difference.
Yeah,
unless it's Larkin.
Yeah. Shoot, man. I'm thinking.
Take the fourth line. You know you want to. Carter Rowney.
If he even plays, I mean, he could be a healthy scratch. It's hard.
By the end of the weekend, Carter Rowney, 4-game goal streak. Book it.
You know what? I'm gonna go off the board. I'm gonna go with Nick Leddy on defense.
Ooh,
him getting up on the. This is based on an assumption that he's going to stay on the top defensive pairing with Moritz Seider. Him playing with Moritz Seider is going to stabilize them altogether. He's playing with a better defenseman with Moritz. Moritz Seider playing with a better defenseman on his left is going to make him a more stable defenseman and vice versa. I think playing against tougher competition is going to bring the best out of Nick Leddy. And I think with the fact that the trade deadline's coming up, it's going to, he's just going to have a really good game. And, that's my X factor. I think Nick Leddy's going to have a good one.
Beauty.
Yes, you are. Thanks for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every day. Now I'll make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Hosts Steele Roden and Flip Livingstone help you become the expert of your fantasy league. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Wow, not my best. Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball.
We absolutely ball. Before we sign off, I just want to give myself a quick pat in the back here. Made it through a tough week.
You did. Good job, buddy. Proud of you.
Only did 4 episodes. We cheated a little, but we made it through.
We're fine.
So, be back with a new
ball
episode.
regardless.
We ball regardless. We'll be back with 2 game recaps and I think a game preview on Monday. No, that's not right. Just 2 game recaps on Monday. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.